it's a long journey, but we can go by the speed of mind all the way from Melbourne to Vrindavan. Is it Vrindavan or Delhi? I'm not sure. Vrindavan, yeah. You're in Vrindavan, aren't you, Prabhu? Wonderful. So a quick summary of our next speakers. I did introduce them last week, but we may have some new people online today, and last week was a long time ago. Hopefully the internet is working today. You look great. You look very clear. Fantastic. So Sriman Rohininandana Das and his wife Srimati Rasakeli Didi. He first met Srila Prabhupada way back in 1975. And Rasakeli was actually born in a devotee family, Srila Prabhupada devotee family. And he met Srila Gurudeva in 1987, and they both took Shiksha from Srila Gurudeva in 2005. And he's also had the good fortune, I wasn't quite sure if you've both had this association or just you, Prabhu. You've had the association of Bhaktivedanta Puri Maharaj and Vaibhav Maharaj, Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, and oh, my brain's gone blank with the two Puri Maharajas. Help me out, Yeshadari.
Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaji and Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaji.
I pronounced those names so many times and I just had a complete mind blank. Two beautiful Mahabhagavats, and also Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which is amazing you had association with him, and Krishnadas Babaji, and also you both took Shiksha from Sripad Bhaktivedanta Srila Bharti Maharaj, who I met on several occasions, who also is amazing Mahabhagavat. Our next speaker has also been a temple president and has opened temples and open orphanages, done a lot of seva over the years. And he's described his wife as a very good artist and teacher, and foremost a beautiful mother. So very excited that we were on tenterhooks last week as to whether the internet was going to work. Now I think I have a feeling it's all going to go smoothly. So over to you both, and a warm second welcome for our second attempt. Hare Krishna. And don't forget, you've got more time because there are two of you. So please take up to, between you, half an hour each, or whatever you want, up to about that amount of time, okay?
Okay. Can you hear well?
Perfect, really crystal clear, perfect.
Okay. So, Om Gyana Timidandasya Gyanam Gyanam Sarakai Chaksuru Minitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatyade Satarine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayantina Triyandinam Bhakti Siramanin Chasi Krishna Padavya Dita Kirhi Chaitanya Lilamrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tom Sirasa Namami. Ofrezco mis reverencias respetuosas. I offer my respectful obeisances to my gurus, my Siksha gurus, and to all the devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpataruyascha kripasindhuvyacha patitanam pavanavibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I had the fortune of meeting all these great souls. My wife met, apart from Srila Gurudeva, only Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. In my childhood, I was able to see the devotees for first time in California on a trip to Disneyland. And this was very awkward because at that time it was a little bit cold and devotees had blankets instead of chadars. And we were on the stoplight and I saw the shaven devotee. I was a little kid. And I told my father and mother that I want to be like them. And my father, who was driving, was very surprised and looked at me as if I was crazy, because they were very different looking. And later on, years after in Mexico, I start to buy incense sticks. And on the back of the package, it says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And on the other side of the package of the incense, Krishna's picture was there. So I started to collect these packages and stick them on my wall, some with Krishna's pictures, some with the Mahamantra, and I start to chant Hare Krishna in regular basis. Years after, I had an uncle that lived very close to the temple. So on Saturdays, we used to go and visit and listen at the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and had the chance to meet devotees and see Srila Prabhupada for first time. I am talking about this because the power of the pure devotee, the power of the mantra is amazing. And as Srila Prabhupada has fulfilled the prophecy of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to bring devotees from all over the world without any difference, distinction of race, color, religion, to glorify Lord Chaitanya. And Gurudev had following his footsteps, going everywhere. Gurudev explains how Srila Prabhupada opened places wherever he went, following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, and by his order too. He found that devotees were there in the mountains, in the islands, everywhere. He found gurukulas, he found farms where devotees were glorifying Krishna. So this is the mercy of the pure devotee. This is the mercy of Sadguru. And our story is very amazing because also the devotees that follow in the steps of Gurudev, the devotees that follow on the steps of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Narayana Maharaj, they are also empowered. Years ago, when I was temple president of Mexico City, the devotees were very afraid to know that Srimati Samarani Didi was coming to Mexico.
1996.
And
1996.
this was in 96, the first time she came to Mexico City. And originally, devotees wanted her to stay in the temple, but this was not allowed. So she went to another place to explain, to talk about the glories of Gurudev. And because was not announced so much, very few devotees went. Not more than 10, 15 devotees went at that time. And amongst those devotees was my wife, my mother-in-law, her brother, one sannyasi from Srila Puri Maharaj, that is Srila Prabhupada disciple. His name is Ram Govinda or Parvat Maharaj. And all the devotees that somehow or other went to that meeting that day, somehow or other were influenced by Gurudev's mercy. So I was sent there by the temple authorities to spy on Syamarani. And I really enjoyed what she was saying. So this is in 96. Way before I had the mercy of meeting Gurudev in the 80s, a devotee that was doing a book about falling of the jiva asked me if I wanted to meet a real sadhu. So I said, of course, let's go. And he took me to Mathura. We went to Gurudev's room in Mathura. And I was young, I was foolish, I didn't know much. So I gave dandavats to Gurudev and I just sat at in the floor while he was speaking with this devotee, Ravanari or Sadhu Maharaj today. I just had the feeling of grabbing his feet and start to massage. And Gurudev looked at me and gave me his blessings. I'm relating this because I know I have no sukriti, and I have in past lives probably committed so much offenses to Guru that it took so much time for me, you know, from the 80s to 2005, you know, to come to Gurudev. I was too much associated with devotees that were not favorable to Gurudev, and because of that, I although read his books, and I saw in the Temple of Mexico City on the library that the GBC had all Gurudev's books, and sometimes read from them and even spoke about it. They never mentioned where this was being given or where these teachings were coming from. So I start to think that this wasn't right. And I also met Gurudev while I was in ISKCON few times in festivals in Mayapur. I met him in Nishingapali from far in a parikram where I just gave obeisances. So it was until we came to Costa Rica ISKCON farm, already married, my wife and myself, to do a project there, that we start to associate with devotees. Particularly at that time, Radha Sundari came to visit me in the farm because I am a doctor and I give treatment. So she decided that to trick me and pretend that she was sick just to bring me to Srila Gurudev's association. And but by that time I had already so much difficulty with everything that was going on in ISKCON. And when I read Gurudev's books, especially that book of where he is describing how he was friends with Gurudev, dear friend and bosom friend, and Priya Bandhu, and also where I saw he was appointing many of the mistakes that the senior devotees were doing at that time. I fully agree. So that's where we decide to come fully give up, you know, the association of ISKCON devotees, or, you know, and take shelter of Gurudev. So it took for us a lot of time, but also was very nice because in Costa Rica, many devotees took shelter of Gurudev. It used to be a big farm there, and the devotees, you know, divided, and they shared the different parts of the farm, ISKCON and those who follow Gurudev. So the first time we decided to come to Mathura, I also have two children of my first marriage. They are 25 and 29 years old, 27 and 29, my kids. So they were very much influenced by ISKCON, and particularly I have a daughter, Rukmini, that she told me she didn't want to leave ISKCON. So we decided to come all for parikram, and I told her that the only thing I ask from you, taking you to India, is that you come and meet Srila Gurudev. If you decide you don't want to be there or you don't like, then you can go, no problem. So we all came to Mathura temple, and the temple was very crowded. We were at the end of the class, we were in the roof while Gurudev was coming up, and my daughter was praying to Srila Prabhupada to give her a sign that this was the right thing, that she would come to Gurudev. And then, although we were in a corner, not exactly in front of the door of Gurudev's room, Gurudev opened his way toward us and then came with some garlands and talked to my daughter, gave her a garland, gave a garland to my son. And after that, my daughter's way of thinking completely changed. He stole her heart. And when she was out of Mathura temple, completely transformed. Both of my senior kids are also disciples of Gurudev. I also want to say that I was in ISKCON a book distributor, and I had the opportunity to serve in Africa to help the mission there for a few years. We opened few temples there. And I am only saying this because I want to relate a story. When we met Gurudev in first time, I asked him if I could open a temple for him in Mexico. And after Parikram, we came back to Mexico, and some devotees from Costa Rica promised me that they would come to help, and only one came. We gathered a little group of devotees to open a temple, and things didn't happen well. We rented two very nice apartments in a very nice area of Mexico City. And we used to do a lot of Nagar Sankirtan and book distribution. So, but things didn't work out, and I was a little bit discouraged. We could not work in team, with the devotees that we were working there. So I wrote to Gurudev and I asked him what to do, and he told me to leave the place. Then we decided to go to Canada, work sometimes, collect some money, and come back to Mexico again to open a temple. And we wrote to him, and he told me to do it. We met him in Canada. I came close to him, and he told me, I asked him, should I open a temple? And he said, yes, if you open a temple, we'll go. I don't want to do this story too long, but we came back to Guadalajara, to another city in Mexico, with enough money to establish a temple. We rented a very nice place near the university, and we start to do programs and everything. Some people start to come. A disciple of Srila Prabhupada had some Thakurji, Radha Krishna, very beautiful. So I thought that Krishna is there, the place is wonderful, close to the university, everything is so nice. But again, we failed, we couldn't do it. So it came to my mind that the mood, and that's why I am telling this and all this preamble, because I had this consciousness of ISKCON, of opening temples and be very big, but we came to understand that what Gurudev said, that he did not come to open temples. The temples were already there. He came to teach us to make our heart a temple. And because of this failing, we decided to just come and come to India and meet him again and stay in India. Something very awkward happened. We had a big place in Mexico with the land and everything. And when the devotees were talking about Gurudev's health, his pastime, of illness started to happen, and we didn't have enough money for all the family to come. Then I had to settle that land from my previous marriage. So what we decide, my wife and myself decide that, okay, we'll give this land and houses to the mother of my older kids, and we just exchange it for some airplane tickets. We bought these tickets, and we came all separately. 7 people came, and what happened is that the travel agent cheated us, and he paid the airplane tickets with stolen credit cards. And this is all the money that we had to survive in India. I had to pay for the tickets again to stay here. And that's how somehow or other we stay in India, because we were bankrupt and we had no house. We had, so I realized later on that is because Gurudev mercy to our kids. We always wish to live in India, but we had not the courage to do it, because it's not so easy as grihastras, and with 3 kids to be in India. But somehow or other, because all this failure and all these things happening, everything manifested, and so far now we've been living in India by the mercy of Gurudev for 10 years, and I am able to do seva to the devotees as a doctor and have a good visa. So everything is by Gurudev's mercy, and his plan is very inconceivable, very difficult to understand. We are very thankful to Gurudev, because although we did not have so much close association with him, although we met him few times, we had special darshans with him, and he was very merciful to Krishna Kishore. Krishna Kishore, my son, since very early time, was paying a lot of attention to his classes. And we went to all the parikrams. We had to go pushing a stroller, and with great difficulty. But Gurudev noticed that when we wrote to him, he told us that he always remembered how we were always coming to the parikrams. And Kishore was very fond of touching his feet. He would chase Gurudev, wherever he was walking, he would go and throw himself to give dandavats, and Gurudev many times saw this and he liked that. Also, this same thing happened in Canada. So just to finish, I want to talk about how Gurudev has revealed amazing katha, has revealed amazing secrets of devotional service. He has given us all these books following in the steps of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada gave everything, but as he says, he has the key for the treasure chest. So he has given us and revealed to us the teachings of Vishwanath Chakravarti. He has revealed the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was had a lot of opposition, and you can see that sometimes also Gurudev had opposition given to the Westerners all this nectar of Rasakatha. He taught us what Rasika devotees, what Babuka devotees are. He is the personification of a Rasik and Babuk uh, devotee. And although some of his seniors sometimes even in public opposed to what he was speaking, he continued doing it. And for that, there is a story that a devotee went to ask Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, which at that time his room was had a view to the Seva Kunja, and this Seva Kunja is one of the places everyone knows where Rasa Lila pastimes happened. And this devotee asked Srila Puri Maharaj if he could see these pastimes. And Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj answered that yes, but the only person that can reveal these topics at this time is Srila Narayana Maharaj. So Srila Narayana Maharaj also, like I was saying, revealed so much teachings of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. He taught us that the only way and the only qualification to achieve Prema Bhakti is greed, and not otherwise like we taught before, years before, that first you have to be very, and still this way of thinking is there, that first you have to be very advanced to be able to listen this type of topics. But Gurudev told that only we have to develop greed. Srila Gurudev was so merciful that he gave the highest to very unqualified people. When Srila Prabhupada was leaving this planet, he called on Gurudev and he told, he asked him to guide them, to give them instructions. Unfortunately, most of the devotees didn't follow this instruction or didn't want to follow the instruction, as well as when Srila Prabhupada wrote that Srila Siddhar Maharaj is my Siksha Guru, what to speak of you. And if you have any philosophical questions, you go to Srila Siddhar Maharaj. But this was an honor. I was there in 81, 82 in Mayapur when they even had people on the crossing of the Ganges not allowing them to cross and threaten you. If you cross, you cannot come back to ISKCON anymore. So I'm only mentioning this because this is how, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti had opposition to establish, the pastimes of Krishna and Radha as conjugal lovers. In the same way, Gurudev had so much opposition, but still he was like a lion. He was very powerful. He never cared, and he was determined to give us the highest. So he gave to the instructions of Bilab Kusamanjali to the GBC, although some of these devotees became against him and prohibit the devotees to go there, but still, and that's when he started to give initiations, when they forbade him to come to ISKCON. So he gave the highest to the lowest, because Prabhupada, when he was leaving, he told Gurudev that when I went to the West, I had trapped so many monkeys in my nets. Please help them. And where are all these white monkeys? And Gurudev very kindly, very lovingly has taken this order in his, head, and went to take the powder of the lotus feet of Prabhupada everywhere, and to save all those devotees like me that were confused after Srila Prabhupada left. So I offer my Puspanjali to Srila Gurudeva and give thanks to him. So, and to all the devotees, Vancha Kalpataruvyacha, Kripa Sindhuvyacha, Patitanam Pavanabhyo.
Can you say your can you say your prayers at the end again, Prabhu? Because I put mute by mistake. Apologies.
So I offer this Puspanjali to Srila Gurudev, and I give thanks to him and to all my Siksha and Harinam and Diksha Gurus, and I offer my respectful obeisances to all of you. Vancha Kalpataruvyacha, Kripa Sindhuvyacha, Patitanam Pavanabhyo, Vaishnavabhyo, Namo Namaha.
Thank you so much. You should already shake your head because she knows how useless I am with technology. And I was going to mute to myself, but I muted you by mistake. So my apologies. My fingers are too big for the keyboard. That was such a beautiful Puspanjali, so much, so rich actually. And also, I noticed you're in Radha Raman, so I could hear. I think it's the darshan time, right?
Yes, we are living in Radha Raman by Gurudev's mercy too.
Well, that means so much to me because that's really where I found Krishna consciousness. When I first went to Vrindavan, Budara took me, and our morning routine was always Radha Raman, and often we'd go in the evenings as well. So that sound is kind of resonates in my heart. I can remember that anywhere.
And today was the parade of the 7 temples together around Vrindavan. We went in the Subha Yatra with Radha Raman party, and was very wonderful.
Well, maybe that's why the internet didn't work last week. Because your timing is absolutely impeccable. It's perfect. I loved what you said. I just wanted, if I may, just expand on a few points you made, or glorify a few of those points. Like right at the beginning of your Pushpanjali, you talked about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prophecy. And I was amazed when I was doing my reading for Bhakti Saraswati Prabhupada's appearance day just a few days ago. It hadn't occurred to me. I mean, I had heard it, but it hadn't occurred to me the degree to which Bhakti had really gone underground and been debased and debauched in many ways by Sahajas and Mayavads. And to what extent, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was almost starting, not from scratch, because all the knowledge was there, but it was all underground. It was all hidden. So it's unbelievable that within 2 generations, after Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then his son, and then his son called upon Srila Prabhupada, it's just so quick to have suddenly sparked across the world. And it kind of reminds me, if you think about how little time it took for a resurgence of Bhakti Yoga from almost nothing to Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Bhakti Saraswati Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada. Imagine what we can do from now if you use the same kind of extrapolation. Imagine how much we could make it grow from where we are now. And I loved how you said you were a spy. That was hilarious. And I think I'm right in saying you were not the only spy. I think Sripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj was also originally a spy. So you're in good company there. And Srila Gurudev, how he stole your daughter's heart. Yeah, he was just such an incredible stealer of all our hearts. Even when we knew, he was quite brazen about it. He would tell us, "I'm going to steal your heart," and he always did. And it's incredible in just such a short encounter how your daughter's whole transformation, and that linked very much to what Sarveshwari Didi said to begin with. It was one darshan, and she kind of knew. It was so Gurudev's qualities were are so self-evident. The other thing I wanted to say was, you were talking about how it reminded me, like you said, that Srila Prabhupada had the keys to the treasure chest, and all these acharyas, they all know the same amount of tattva and ras, but it's like in the same way as Mahaprabhu came and gave us Mahabhav, but Lord Nityananda had to break the dam to allow the love, the prem to flow into Kali Yuga, into our hearts. In the same way, it looks like each acharya is given a different cipher that decodes things for the world, because we have to have a filter, and it's like the knowledge base is the same, the panoply, the panorama of Ras and Tattva remains always the same in all of their hearts, but they've all got a different angle on the taste. Each one is giving us something slightly different. And I think that's what makes it very difficult sometimes for people to reconcile different acharyas like Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, to understand that it's the same beautiful flower garland, just maybe photographed from a different angle. And we have so much to be grateful to for people like yourself who paved the way and sacrificed a lot for people like us to come, like you so Srila Prabhupada, to make it possible that we can come to Srila Gurudev so easily. And then in addition to that, you had the courage to never leave ISKCON, because no one leaves ISKCON, but you had the courage to take Shiksha from Srila Gurudev, even though maybe many of your friends and associates may not have approved. And the last thing I'd like to observe is what you said about, I think it's a really important instruction by example, how Srila Gurudev would, like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he would meet a lot of resistance. A lot of people were against him, but he never, like a mother, like children may complain, but the mother keeps on giving, and she's often the last to get what she needs, but she's always giving. And Gurudev is like a mother. He always gives, even if people reject, even if people criticize. He doesn't ever focus. Never gets distracted by the negativity of our minds. He's always able and continues in our hearts to charge forward with great hope, great hope. As he said, we may be helpless, but we're never hopeless. So thank you for your beautiful Pushpanjali. It was worth waiting an extra week for. Thank you so much.
Opportunity.